Narendra Modi's ministerial rejig is under fire from the opposition. Both the Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party have slammed the Prime Minister for appointing allegedly tainted ministers. The Congress has in fact prepared a virtual charge sheet, a dossier of sorts against the central government, and this has begun a big fight.
It's a multi-pronged attack that the Congress has launched, training its guns at new appointees and hoping to create fissures with discontent over perceived demotions. Point-by-point accusations made against each minister over a period of more than an hour. R.S. Kateria, the junior HRD minister, being named in 23 cases, including one of attempt to murder. Bihar strongman Giriraj Singh, accused of accumulating unaccounted wealth and anti-minority rant some months ago. Y.S. Chaudhary, accused of defaulting on bank loans of as much as 300 crore rupees. Also, a spotlight on railway turned law and justice minister Sadanand Gowda, whose assets have reportedly multiplied in 3 months to 20 crores from the earlier 9 crore rupees.
पूरे के पूरे पार्लियामेंट के अंदर वो टेंटेड लोगों को हटा देंगे तो पूरे पार्लियामेंट की तो बात की बात है, हटाना नहीं हटाना तो सीधे शायद उनके हाथ में नहीं है, लेकिन अपने मंत्रिमंडल में टेंटेड लोगों का हटाना तो उनके अपने हाथ में है। कम से कम उसका फैसला ये खुद क्यों नहीं कर सकते?
The entire charge of the Congress party is baseless.
The Aam Aadmi Party has meanwhile zeroed in on the appointment of J.P. Nadda as health minister and the removal of Harshvardhan, questioning the outgoing minister's capabilities, alleging that the move was to target Sanjeev Chaturvedi, an AIIMS whistleblower who probed an acquaintance of Nadda's.
जेपी नड्डा जी एक भ्रष्टाचारी ऑफिसर को बचाना चाहते थे, इसलिए उन्होंने संजीव चतुर्वेदी को हटा दिया।
आज मैं जिम्मेवारी लेने वाला हूं, शुभ दिन है, शुभ बात से शुभ काम शुरू है।
According to reports, Chaturvedi, earlier chief vigilance officer in AIIMS, had probed an IAS officer allegedly close to Nadda. Nadda reportedly wrote to Harshvardhan for Chaturvedi's removal. Chaturvedi is now posted as deputy secretary with AIIMS.
Sources tell us that Delhi's heavyweight is being prepared for the big capital battle early next year. Harshvardhan is being considered as the best bet for BJP in Delhi. With camera person Anil Atar Khan in Delhi for Headlines Today.
Well, a day after the cabinet reshuffle, newly appointed and newly inducted ministers took charge of their ministries. Here's what some of them had to say on their first day of taking charge.
Jaitley ji has done, in spite of constraint, a lot of initiation work on many of the issues concerning the defense, and I am quite confident of taking them ahead with speed.
आज हमारे दो फोकस एरिया, कस्टमर सर्विस है, सेफ्टी है, और साथ साथ में एक पूरी रेल को किस तरह से देश की अर्थव्यवस्था के साथ में जुड़ने की जरूरत है। वैसे तो जुड़ी रही है, लेकिन मैं समझता हूं यदि हम सही मायने में काम करेंगे तो देश की अर्थव्यवस्था में बढ़ाई लाने का काम भी ये रेल कर सकती है।
It will be our endeavor to serve this ministry with utmost honesty, utmost diligence, and as we all know, Northeast is high on the priority of the present government.
Different roles, different sectors. The idea is one. The policies reach down to each and everyone, whether they hear it or they feel it. And number two, we together as a nation move towards somewhere we ought to be.
First and foremost, creating jobs is very important for us and for the economy. The second area that we've emphasized, and I think we've done quite well on, is obviously managing inflation and price rise, which was a major election issue, and I think we've done remarkably well on that front.
Sunday night's cabinet reshuffle was full of surprises. There were some major omissions and some big promotions. Here's a list of the big winners and losers in Prime Minister's brand new cabinet.
The Modi government's cabinet reshuffle has thrown up big surprises. Several fresh faces are part of PM's new team, and while some have been rewarded, some ministers have had their wings clipped and been shunted out. Suresh Prabhu seems to have emerged as the biggest winner after the cabinet reshuffle. After being sidelined by the Shiv Sena, he now commands the crucial and prestigious Railways Ministry. From Chief Minister to Defence Minister, Manohar Parekar's appointment too is a big leg up. The other big winner is Chaudhry Birendra Singh. As Rural Development Minister, he will now command the Manrega war chest and attempt to assuage Haryana's Jats. JP Nadda's appointment as the Health Minister is being seen as a reward for his organisational skills in the BJP. Highly regarded by both Narendra Modi and Amit Shah, he will have to prove himself as a minister though. Sadanand Gowda's fall from grace has been sudden. Reports suggest that the Prime Minister was reportedly unhappy with the former Railways Minister's work, and that's why he was moved to the less important Law Ministry. Dr. Harshvardhan too seems to have suffered a huge loss, having been moved from the Health Ministry to Ministry of Earth Sciences, Science and Technology. The loss, though, may be temporary. Sources say that PM Modi wanted to free him up for the upcoming electoral battle in Delhi. Shunted out is the Law Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad, now only holds IT and Telecom. He seems to have been reprimanded for not putting up an adequate defence of government cases against the judiciary. Former Army Chief General V.K. Singh too has lost independent charge of development of Northeast Affairs and is now in charge of a politically insignificant ministry. Bureau Report, Headlines Today.
Well, the Maha suspense is over for what it's worth. The hopes of a Sena BJP patch-up are all but finished after trying hard to make the BJP blink and refusing to accept that whatever little was on offer, the Sena has chosen opposition benches over its 25-year-old alliance and friend. And in doing so, it has barely managed to corner the BJP on a moral point of tying up with the party that Modi called naturally corrupt.
Day one of the new Maharashtra Assembly. Shiv Sena making a big bang entry and Devendra Fadnavis playing Mr. Cool to perfection. Inside, an ugly face-off played out. Outside, the Shiv Sena tied itself into political knots. With his hard posturing crashing against BJP's cold shoulder, Uddhav Thackeray had little choice but to pick opposition benches over BJP's treasury benches. He shot off a letter staking claim to the post of leader of opposition for Eknath Shinde.
We choose the option of sitting in the opposition, and accordingly Mr. Eknath Shinde, his name as a Gata Neta, and as we are having second number party in the assembly, we are expecting that his name should be announced as a leader of opposition.
शिवसेना के 63 सदस्य अपोजिशन में चुन के आए हैं, तो उनका अपोजिशन लीडर बनना और उन्होंने मांग करना, इसमें कोई गलत बात तो नहीं है। अगर वो अपोजिशन लीडर बनते भी है तो हमको शुभेच्छा देंगे।
Over the past several days, Uddhav Thackre's political tactics had all but flopped, from demanding the Deputy Chief Minister's post to pushing for at least 10 berths, to even setting a Saturday deadline for inclusion in Team Fadnavis, only to be outplayed by Suresh Prabhu. Even the Shiv Sena's attempt to enlist Congress and NCP's support for the Speaker's post got it nowhere. Finally, Sharad Pawar stepped out to close Uddhav Thackere's options completely.
We have not discussed this subject with anybody. Nobody has come to us and requested us to give any type of support. It was a conscious decision, collective thinking of the NCP in the larger interest of the state, because we don't want, the situation is such, number game is such, that unless and until certain positive steps are taken by certain sensible people, there will not be stable government. And I don't want the state should go for within practically 3 months or 4 months.
As the countdown clock to the trust vote winds down, Shiv Sena clearly seems to have been outplayed and has lost out politically. But by playing for pride, it has set itself for a moral win by not siding with the NCP and trying to make the BJP look like the bad guy in the bitter saffron divorce.
The talks between Shiv Sena and BJP had completely stopped since Sunday evening. While the Shiv Sena continued with its posturing, the BJP refused to blink, forcing the Shiv Sena to choose the opposition benches over its estranged ally. With camera person Mahesh More, Kamlesh Sutar in Mumbai for Headlines Today.
Plenty happens literally every day in this country of ours that makes people question their faith in the judiciary, in the criminal justice system, in the law of the land. But nothing as much as the story of the LN Mishra murder case. A Delhi court has deferred the verdict in the former railway minister's murder case till the 8th of December. Does that sound abnormal? Well, it is, because the case has dragged on, get this, for nearly 40 years now, of a railway minister after Mishra was killed in a bomb attack in 1975. 2 generations later, no verdict even from a lower court. While Mishra's wife died during the trial, his family says that the verdict will be meaningless for them now.
A never-ending wait for justice. 40 years after former Railways Minister Lalit Narayan Mishra was murdered, there is still no closure in the investigations. 4 decades after Mishra was killed in a bomb attack in Samastipur, Bihar, a Delhi court has now deferred the verdict.
40 साल बीत गए हैं इसी आशा में कि आज कल जजमेंट होगा, लेकिन अभी तक नहीं हुआ है। उस जजमेंट के इंतजार में अगर कुछ भी होता तो सबसे पसंदता या मेरी मां को होता, लेकिन मेरी मां भी आज के दिन में नहीं है, इसलिए इस जजमेंट का कोई महत्व हम लोगों के लिए नहीं रह जाता है।
Mishra was killed in 1975 and the charge sheet was filed 2 years later. The case was transferred to Delhi in 1979. Since then, 200 witnesses have been examined. One of the accused died during the long trial.
Witnesses have been examined. This case over the years saw a change of 22 judges, but such has been the nature of the case that the justice has been delayed for such a long time.
Experts blame the massive burden on judiciary among one of the many reasons behind the unusual delay.
Well, I think the delay here in this case has been because of the fact that the trial has taken so much time. There were 22 judges who were, changed in between, who had dealt with this case. And also the fact remains that there were more than 200 witnesses in this case, and there were more than 3,000 exhibits which were needed to be proved in the court.
An advocate and 4 members of a religious sect, Anand Marg, are now the surviving accused. They had moved Supreme Court seeking quashing of charges for inordinate delay, but their plea was turned down. With Pankaj Upadhyay in Delhi, Bureau Report, Headlines Today.
Which leads us to the big, broad question that we're asking tonight on the show. Should trials, all trials in the country, simply be time-bound? Is that the only solution to ensure, to make absolutely sure that no matter what kind of case it is time-bound and there's a verdict and there is predictability as far as the delivery of justice is concerned? I'm joined this evening on the show by a panel of legal experts and former experts who've looked at this case very carefully, who have been associated with the CBI, with the justice system, with the courts of the country, because quite frankly, this is a case that has transcended 2 generations. Most people of my generation wouldn't even know who LN Mishra was. The simple fact is he was killed long before I was even born. But how do you explain to a common Indian the importance of a case of this kind, as the faith of the people of India in the judiciary, in the swift delivery of justice, stands shaken more and more each day? is this a case that needs to be brought back into the limelight simply because of the implications of how long it has taken and counting? Nothing has happened. Joining me right now is R.K. Raghavan, former director of the CBI, also privileged to be joined by Justice LN Mishra, former justice in the Delhi High Court. Justice Mishra, if I could come to you first. I'm going to ask you a broad question, sir. How does one even explain a case of this kind, to the people of this generation? 40 years, 22 judges, 3,000 exhibits, over 200 witnesses. LN Mishra, the minister who died in this assassination bid, his son was 30 at the time, he's 70 right now. How does one even begin to explain a story like this, Justice Mishra?
You see, it is very easy. In this country, the judicial system is accused-oriented and advocate-oriented. If accused has money and has influence, he can, drag a case as long as he wants. Because what he has only to do is, he has to engage some good counsel who will challenge every order before the next court and then before the Supreme Court. And this is what has happened in all cases which are dragged. Why you are pointing to this case, which is at that, I think at the kind of judgment because of number of years. But look at the Salman Khan case, which is simply accident case.
Yes.
How many times it went into Supreme Court and came back to High Court. Look at any other case where people have money.
Yes.
Or they can, means to go to High Courts and Supreme Court. They challenge every small order. It is 22 judges can't do anything.
Yes.
If the judge passes an order, trial court judge passes an order, and within next 1 week he gets a stay order from the next court, higher court.
Yes.
Please don't proceed with the case. We are hearing an appeal against an order. In fact, the whole criminal justice system is a mockery, and I would say this case and many other cases are commentary on how the system works.
I think those are very condemning words coming from a former justice in the Delhi High Court, Justice Mishra, saying that the criminal justice system is a mockery. Mr. Raghavan, if I could bring to you here the facts of this case, the circumstances of the LN Mishra case, question what most people think about the justice delivery system. The person who died was a VVIP sitting minister. We as Indians tend to think that if you've got money, you're a powerful man, you're a VVIP, justice will be delivered quickly. It was a high-profile case at the time. This was a person who was a minister in the Indira cabinet. There was a lot of political intrigue as well. The common expectation would have been, at least, even cynically speaking, that since a VVIP was involved, justice would have been quick. Even that doesn't apply in this case, Mr. Raghavan.
Yes. To begin with, I cannot agree more with Justice Mishra when he said that the whole criminal justice system in the country is a mockery. It doesn't matter if the victim is a VIP, a VVIP, or an ordinary person, as this particular case has proved. The blame for this will have to lie in multiple places. First, it begins with the investigating officers, the police or the CBI. Maybe in both the places there is numerous instances in which the investigative agencies have been very slothful. Wherever they showed some spirit and some speed, the case gets worked on in the judicial forums.
Yes.
Here again, the trouble begins with the lowest court of the country. Then it goes up. The matter is taken up to a variety of courts. First the High Court, then to the Supreme Court. I mean, the whole system will have to change. This is a very hackneyed subject. Many of us have said a lot of things. I think quite a few understand where the shoe pinches. But nothing further has happened because there are so many vested interests who would like to see that the cases never reach that logical conclusion. It's very easy to commit a crime in this country and get away with it, as we have seen in several states. No particular state holds a monopoly for procrastination or for downright thuggery. And so ultimately, the whole nation's conscience will have to be stirred, and every player in the whole system will have to show some spirit of
I think
expedition and spirit of. Yeah.
I think the honesty of this discussion so far has already been quite shattering. A former CBI director saying it's easy in this country to commit a crime and get away with it. A former justice in the Delhi High Court saying that the criminal justice system in this country is a complete mockery. For those who haven't followed, the LN Mishra case, 40 years and no verdict. Vikas Singh, former Additional Solicitor General of India, is also with me live. I want to get a perspective from him as well. Mr. Singh, how does one explain that, a political assassination of this kind is still stuck in the lower courts without a verdict? Justice Dhingra says the criminal justice system is a mockery. R.K. Raghavan, former CBI director, says it's easy to commit a crime and simply get away with it because of the way that everything works, the interplay between investigations and the court and everything else in between. What would you put it on, Vikas Singh?
Well, I don't agree with Justice Dhingra that it is only if you engage lawyers and if you've got, pockets full of money, you can just simply delay the trial. That would be a very unfair comment on the legal fraternity. I would rather put this blame on a large number of issues. Some of them would be legislative, some administrative, and some, where as far as the justice delivery is concerned, it happens due to and I think that is a very major aspect in this matter. When the matter happens, especially in the High Court.
Okay, we're having a bit of an audio problem with Vikas Singh.
Judges who are.
Okay, we're having a bit of an audio problem with Vikas Singh. I'll try to return to him in just a moment. But Justice Dhingra, coming back to you, you took the example, of a more familiar case, at least for this generation, the Salman Khan case. There are many other cases that have dragged on, for many years. We have the 1984 riots cases. We've got, the Jessica Lal and, Priyadarshini Mattu cases, where verdicts have happened, but that too after many, many years. Is it also a question of circumstance, Justice Dhingra? We see now, like for example, in the Nirbhaya gang rape case, the huge amount of public pressure, media pressure, in one way ensured that the attention and spotlight was on the case, and that's why perhaps there was a sense of swiftness to, the delivery of justice in that case. Do you think that makes a big difference?
You see, I think all those cases which get media attention, there you see the courts become more alert and more this. Not only trial courts but right up to Supreme Court.
Right.
They do not try to interfere into the small orders. But otherwise, you see Shamit Mukherjee case in Delhi High Court.
Yes.
Where the judge was caught, there is total documentary evidence of taped record evidence and seizure evidence. There is no eyewitness, it is total. It is pending for about 10 years. What for? In Delhi courts. You see, these court cases, in fact, speak lot of about the criminal justice system.
Yes.
That, you see, Mr. Vikas said he doesn't agree with me if you have pocket full of this. But I can cite innumerable examples where the interlocutory orders there
are enough cases to support your point, you're saying. There are enough cases to support your point.
You see, a book can be written, citing case after case,
yes,
where the cases are delayed only because the man has money and he can approach.
Justice Dhingra, let me ask you a specific question then.
The other example is,
let me ask you a very specific question.
The case,
if I could just ask you a very specific question, Justice Dhingra, because, obviously, like most problems in this country, there are no specific solutions. But but a specific question to you is, as a former justice in the Delhi High Court who has said here categorically on the news, on headlines today, that the criminal justice system is a mockery, are time-bound trials, forced time-bound trials, could that be the beginning of some kind of a solution? Is it feasible even?
No, it is not feasible, nor it is a solution. Solution is have specialized criminal courts. Right from the magistrate court to Supreme Court, only those judges should man the criminal cases who have seen the trials and who know how the witnesses are handled, how advocates play with the witnesses.
Yes.
Only specialized court is the solution. You see, the cases will automatically get time bound. Today, what happens that a judge, an advocate who has been practicing on income tax side, and is elevated to High Court, and next day he sits on criminal bench.
Okay.
He doesn't know ABC of the criminal law, and he takes time, 6 months time. He takes 6 months time to understand criminal law, and the next, by that 6 month time, roster changes. He goes to another bench.
Okay.
Then next comes, he may not be knowing criminal law.
Okay,
this happens.
Okay.
This is what is the problem.
Okay,
that
so
you don't have specialization.
Right, there's no specialization. You're saying that's one of the problems. You don't agree that time-bound trials is a solution. Vikas Singh, what do you think about time-bound trials? Could that even begin to solve this problem?
Well, there was an attempt by the Supreme Court at some stage to quash cases on the ground that the trial has been delayed.
Yes.
But then that was referred to a larger bench and they have set that aside and they say, no, there can't be any time-bound trial. So that's the law of the land today. But Justice Dhingra actually contradicted himself by saying that in cases where media trial is on or where media focus is there on a criminal case,
yes,
then the judges don't interfere on interlocutory matters. Now, the very fact that the judges do not interfere or may not interfere on interlocutory matters in cases where media trial is going on proves the point that if the judges want to do it, they can do it. Now, what happens is, and exactly that's the point that I was going to make, which because of the audio difficulty, I couldn't
finish your point,
Justice
sir.
Dhingra just said that. What is happening invariably is that the judges who are dealing with matters, even at the trial court, are not trained to handle, these cases. They are not, because this is a
important point.
I would say a specialized area in judicial delivery system. And High Court judges as well as Supreme Court judges, before they are put on the criminal roster,
yes,
should be made to sort of familiarize themselves, should be given an orientation course, and should be given a very crash so that they are able to understand the nuances
so it's not just a question of shortage, but it's also a question of competence. It's a question of competence that Vikas Singh, you are raising here on Headlines Today. KTS Tulsi, senior lawyer with the Supreme Court, is also with us. He's joined us a little late, but Mr. Tulsi, I hope you've managed to hear some of the comments our guests have been saying. Where do you stand on this, Mr. Tulsi? The LN Mishra case, how it can be explained to a new generation when, faith in the criminal justice system and justice delivery system is, perhaps at an all-time low. What is the solution? Are time-bound trials, part of the solution, or is it simply unfeasible?
No. The country's first responsibility of any nation, of any government, is to protect people's life and property, and for that criminal justice system has to be given the first preference, the top priority, and there can be no explanation at all as to why a murder case can drag on for 40 years.
Exactly.
It only represents a complete collapse of the system.
Yes.
We are not concerned. There are lakhs of murder cases, 1,87,000 murder cases pending in this country.
Yes.
There are about 80,000 rape cases pending in this country. How can we have justice